Call the meeting of the MSAB's 49th School Board to order. Do the roll call.
Ms. Booth?
Here.
Mrs. Boyd?
Here.
Galloway?
Here.
Jesselyn?
Here.
Ms. Newmont? Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Here.
Mr. Grenier?
Here.
Mr. Kinley?
Here.
Mr. Woodard? Here. Mr. Newbauer?
Here.
Mr. Mitchell? Here. Ms. Rodnicki is unable to be here this evening as it is not.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of minutes of the MSA.
This was the first one. For those of you who don't know, our chair, Mrs. Rodnicki, suffered a family tragedy today with the death of the family and is unable to be here. Our sincere condolences and best wishes go to her and the Rodnicki family.
Approval of minutes of the MSAB number 49 Board of School Directors. Vote to accept the minutes of September 17th, 2015 board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second one.
This is Patrick.
Liberty and Fitzpatrick.
All those in favor? Ken, opposed, 0, abstained, 0. Student report,
What do we have on this evening?
citizen input,
Yeah, I'd just like to speak very briefly on, my name is Bill Napower from Town of Albion. Just want to speak very briefly on the use of the retirement funds and how that could be used in a way that might create some long-term benefits for the district. You have choices to how to use that money. What I would recommend is that you look into investing that money into the school, into the school facility in particular, in places that would create savings moving forward. One example might be some sort of energy efficiency improvements. You reduce your oil bill or your electric bill, that reduces your operating expenses. You have that money going forward then from year 1, 2, 3, further down the road, so that you would have additional monies for programs or whatever moving forward. Looking for items like that to invest that money, because it's like one-time money, as opposed to using it in a one-shot deal, 1 or 2 years, to reduce expenses. It's all gone. If you think of it in terms of as an investment for future savings, then you'll have those savings for a much longer period of time. That's all I'd like to say.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
old business. New business, to annual emergency plan review.
Maine law calls for us to revisit our emergency plans, and in this district, we traditionally call that a crisis response plan. We have some handouts, and Mrs. Murray is going to review the essentials of the plan.
So I have a handout, and the first page on that handout is your policy, crisis response plan. And as you can see, with all the work that has been done on the policy committee, that's pretty well updated. So oftentimes in districts, you might hear crisis response plan, you might also hear emergency management plan. So, but this policy certainly covers that requirement. So, in addition to that, I also have provided just for your information and knowledge. On the second page, just so that you are aware, each of the schools has its own school emergency management plan. And those are located at the school level. They're also located at the superintendent's office, updated on an annual basis. And what I have included there would be information that would be included in those school emergency management plans. As you'll notice, in the event of any kind of emergency, principals and staff need to have at their fingertips emergency numbers and contacts, so that's updated on a regular basis. And then to prepare for emergencies, you can see the list of items there that are summarized in their emergency plans. There's some type of a phone tree, or it could be a robo-calling system. There are facility building floor plans and for the grounds, and those are not only in the school plans, but also with the police too. There's a building protocol in the absence of the principal, because not always will the principal be there, and we have a couple buildings that are covered by one principal. There are emergency codes that are pertinent to that particular school, should there be an emergency. Each of our schools has a code blue team, so these are identified folks who may have more training than others in emergency care, and they would be called upon. And then also a crisis response team for each individual school, that should there be an emergency, taking a look at the whole process of emergency from the beginning to the very end, taking care of staff and students, another group of trained folks. We also have worked out that in the event of emergency, where is that incident command system? Who's going to be involved in making those decisions? Who needs to be there, and what are their roles? And where are they going to be in a particular emergency? And then there's that whole area of response to emergencies. You know very well we do the fire alarm. We also do drills, fire alarm drills through the year. We do bomb threat procedures, lockdown procedures. We practice that with the students, and actually goes very well. We are right now going through a Navajo review of lockdown procedures being facilitated by our school resource officer. We have a student dismissal protocol in place. You know that we do off-site evacuation drills, and we do know from research and from around the country that for places that have had some real emergency situations, those schools that have practiced off-site evacuations and practiced all these procedures have done much better in real emergency situations. We talked about shelter in place. If in fact there's an emergency and that classroom of students and staff need to stay there for a while, are we prepared for that? And also emergency care, first aid procedures. We also include a teacher roster, and now we're including pictures too of our staff members as well as our student roster of names, and we have to, again, keep those updated on the process of making sure those are updated and getting our pictures in. When the student pictures are taken, they also provide those pictures for us, so we have that as a handy reference. On the last page, you've heard many of the activities that we've had, because we've had an increased focus, just like many schools around Maine as well as around the country. There's been an increased focus, and we've learned new strategies. So I've listed there some of the evidence of some of the focus that we've had. Our administrative team now meets yearly with local police, and we take a look at any update they may have for us by way of procedures, and as we continue to learn, as they learn, they pass that information on to us, and also provides a good contact between us and our local police. As school board, there are many policies around emergency care and care of students and staff, and those policies you are maintaining. Required staff trainings are in place, and our most recent one is suicide training. That was held for junior high and high school at the very beginning of last school year. This year, we finished the suicide training with all of our elementary school staff. We happen to have a trained trainer, shall I say, who was on our staff at the high school, the librarian. So we're able to tap her for that training. So that we have finished this year. Just as a reminder, there's a fingerprinting requirement of all staff, and that is done with certification. It's a requirement that Department of Education has put in place. You know we have robocalls because you receive some, but that has certainly proven to be a very useful communication tool. So we can get the same message out to all people at the same time, and it helps to answer lots of questions. We have you approved the school resource officer position that's in place, certainly a great support. We do fire drills, the off-site evacuation drills, we try to mix them up a little bit, and we do the lockdown drills, and we probably also got a robocall for a parent about that. We have a surveillance system, as you are aware, in all schools and on buses, and you also know we have added cameras that have been placed in schools and around the facilities where they have been in need, and also do know that the police have access to that system too. The exterior doors, locked, the buzzing system, monitored by school secretaries, those are in place now in most schools. And also staff attend security-related workshops. So we've had staff, including Superintendent Baker, who went to one recently, put on by a group of attorneys to keep us updated on that. So I would entertain any questions.
On robocalls, do we know how long it takes for a robocall to reach everyone?
I don't have the exact time, but it's within minutes. I know that when one is done and it comes to me from our building, I probably get it, I think I get it within about 10 minutes.
Okay, my sense is they're very prompt, and
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
I think we haven't had one, as far as I know, that's taken more than 20 minutes. And that was with some initial votes, so I believe it's less than that.
So obviously, we're doing one for the entire district. That's going to take a little bit longer than the small school value. Okay?
Well, I know the other morning, I had two phones and a computer going off.
That's right.
All at the same time, so.
That happens. You're well informed, Harry.
Yes, I was.
One,
No, that's no. In our, as I said, we have recently looked again at our lockdown procedures, and our school resource officer, Jeremy Day, is now finishing up, I think, one more school to visit to meet with all staff, firming a consistent lockdown procedure for all schools. So we have consistency across all of our schools. And I think that the other really beneficial piece is that, as he has told staff, he's working with the other school resource officers in our immediate area. So with them and the police, really trying to have a consistency between Waterville, Winslow, Matlonky, and ourselves for lockdown procedures. So we have that in place also.
Any more questions on the emergency?
Any other questions, concerns, or other things that you feel, wow, I haven't heard that you have covered, that you would want to hear more about, or think that we might have missed something?
well, by design tonight, we are telling you what are in the plans, but not the plans themselves, by design, of course. And today's unfortunate news about community college in Oregon with today's shootings just confirmed the types of measures that we're taking And I would note that we've also shown some emphasis on threats other than shooting, because statistically, shooters are a very low probability that when they happen, it's horrible and it's like being struck with lightning. But there are other kinds of threats to student safety that we're also taking account for, and our main response is prevention through a lot of different methodologies. But there are specific plans for each building and specific protocol with local police and through the county and state police, through our resource officer. So I think we have good coordination with public safety, and that includes fire department as well, so that we have more than just a fixation on shooters. And I don't know what's creating the lights coming on and off.
We're just efficient here now. Efficiency.
We move on to the 2015, 2016.
Could we? No, I'm sorry. We appreciate it, just so I can show up the records, that is the board approving this through consensus?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
We move on to the 2015, 2016 instruction improvement plans and principles.
I believe you have plans for each of the buildings. I'll check the principles, correct? We've distributed those tonight. And as we mentioned at our last meeting, our plan is not to explain them in detail tonight, because you can read it for yourself. Principals will be here at our next meeting to respond to any questions you have about them. Okay?
Well, I do have one quick question regarding this. And that, where is Infinite Campus going? I mean, are they replacing that, or expanding it, or?
Well, Infinite Campus is a national program, and Maine is a small, relatively small customer. And if we remember those demographics, Maine has wanted to use Infinite Campus to do some things that the software provider says they are not going to do. For members of the audience who don't know, Infinite Campus is a student information management system, and it has modules that keep track of attendance, grades, and various other things. And we have been interested, Mrs. Murray, I know, has urged the correct contacts in the Department of Education several times for the state to create the record-keeping template, the infrastructure that we will need for the shift to graduation by proficiency on standards. That's going to require a whole new record-keeping system, and as of right now, that's been punted back to local districts to figure it out for ourselves. I think that creates a Tower of Babel situation, where we're all trying to invent a wheel and they won't all look alike. And I know at every occasion we've had an opportunity to voice our concerns and opinions. We and any other district I know of are all saying it would be extremely useful if Infinite Campus would create a subject, cross-subject, up through all the grades system, because over time, the proficiency system will require that we have it not just for high school graduation, but promotion up through grades. So Infinite Campus is going to stay around, Mary, for some time, I believe. It could be modified, but as you know, we often don't hear until prospective changes are well in the works. So that's as much as we know right now.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Move on to resignations.
No.
Appointments for the MSAB, 49 Board of School Directors vote to authorize the superintendent to offer Mike
Kelly Enbro, I believe.
Andrew a fall 2015 fall co-curriculum coaching position as LHS This is Patricia co-advisor for this, for $1,000. Thank you.
So moved.
Second?
Steve and Danielle. All those in favor? Discussion. All those in favor? 10 opposed.
Yes, sir.
10-0. Release reports.
I have a quick announcement. The culinary arts program at Tech Center got through their state certification process, so we'll be expecting the Day Cafe to be open within the next couple of weeks or so.
We have facilities meeting on Tuesday.
On Tuesday at the superintendent's office at 4:30. Just for a few notes, as you're aware, we have held district-wide evacuation drills earlier this school year, and our junior high and high school administrators felt it would be a good idea to come back with a very fast lockdown procedure before people start anticipating it, to get a better view of what happens with the unexpected. And I would ask Mr. Person and Mr. Campbell to characterize what happened in your respective schools when we did that, I believe at 7:20 something in the morning.
7:30?
So, from our perspective, for as big a complex that is, that was silent. As soon as Mr. Wedge was done with the announcement, you could just, we watched the cameras and the place just, all the hallways just emptied out. And then, as we walked around, you could hear a pin drop. It didn't matter where you were in that complex, it was just silent, which is what we want. And then as we opened up the rooms, we put some money into putting in some, at least at the high school level, new shades, so that when you walk into those classrooms, they were dark. And it was very hard to see the students sitting in the corner on the floor. So from our perspective, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. It was a good drill.
I would just add that we had some help from local law enforcement. We divided the complex in 4 among us, and each administrator was accompanied by a law enforcement officer who actually, tried the door, announced that they were representing, the police, and they entered the room with a key. So that was very helpful. We had Officers Mink and Brooks from the Fairfield Police Department, and Detective Saint-Amand and Chief Gould, and Officer Lefferts, who is the SRO in Waterville, and of course Deputy Day, who works with us. So it went very well. It was very helpful for staff, I think, to see law enforcement participate in this, and the kids really responded very attentively and took it very seriously.
I would ask you a spontaneous question. Do you think that these drills scare students or help students or both? What's your assessment?
I believe that kids know what to do, and we, debrief with staff and receive lots of written feedback, and that's a comment that continued to show up. The staff felt prepared and the students felt prepared. They knew what to do and were very compliant with what was asked of them, and we just moved through it.
The short answer, I don't think we're scared kids by anything. I mean, it relaxes them. I think, if we hope we never hit that, but if we ever do have to respond, I think they're going to be comfortable in responding.
So. Board members have your accident insurance forms, which I would appreciate receiving back for you tonight. MSMA provides that. So if you're injured in your duties of coming to board meetings or school functions, that does not cost the taxpayers any extra money for the record, but it's a service provided to board members. Denton School has been emphasizing reading and through a book fair at Estes Packard that brings up the date.
PPR's home, starting at book fair, started this morning.
Monies that they raise from this, the sales goes to do other mission activities throughout the year, bringing in Hawkins, helping the first graders with out of 100 books, t-shirts, and those things, so. And, you know, next week, the parent-teacher conferences, the parents be able to come in and help, the students be able to help them pick out books for them to buy for themselves, so it's a good opportunity to get them reading.
Good, thank you. And Ms. Gordon, I understand the student council's up and running in Clinton?
Yes. Our student council is up and running again this year. It's 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students. And we have Spirit Days once a month. And our first one is tomorrow, and it's Fancy Day. So the students are going to get to dress up in their fanciest clothes. We add a little something this year. We have a trophy, and we're going to take account of how many students do participate in each classroom. And the winning classroom gets to have that trophy in their classroom for the month until we have our next Spirit Day. So the students are really excited about the fact that they may get the trophy. It's got a little bulldog on the top. It's a very cute trophy. The students are very excited about it.
And I understand you've been doing Student of the Month?
Yes. We also have Student of the Month once a month assemblies, and that's when we focus on one student from every classroom, and they receive certificates from their teachers. This year we've added STAR students as well, which is our theme this year. So those students are also recognized at those assemblies. And at our first assembly last week, we were able to recognize 25 of those students. And as a homeschool connection, I brought one just to show you. I also send this postcard out to the homes when the students do receive that, so the parents know that they have been honored in that way at the assembly. So it's a nice way to make that connection.
In a future board meeting, we're going to discuss the bar program at the high school, but I'm just curious if Mr. Madulis and Mr. Campbell have any preliminary thoughts on how that's going with our freshman class.
Early on, it's going very well. We're going to some more training actually next week on Tuesday and Wednesday. Some of the teachers and guidance will be going down to Noble High School, who's been running the program for a little bit now, to get some additional guidance and training down there. But we think it's going pretty well early on.
Thank you. That concludes my report.
Mr. Chairman? I sent around a sheet, last meeting, you probably remember, I handed out a sheet that tracked the said 49 sources of income. I think the superintendent didn't get one, so.
He knows this, it's in his head.
Well, this is not new information. Last time we looked at income sources for said 49, state, local, and federal. And I think the conclusion at that point was to be made was that the local taxpayer was being forced to share a larger and larger portion of the burden. This meeting, I'm handing out one, and this is a chart that we've been keeping for a number of years. As you can see, it dates back to 2001, 2002. This is the state of Maine's support for public education, K through 12. And you'll note back in 2004 and 5, it was down in the $700 to $725 million range. In 2003, Maine citizens voted that the state would fund 55% of the cost of public education. And beginning with 2005-06, you see an attempt to reach that level. The state put substantially more money into education, with it peaking in 2007, 2008, and 2008, 2009. Unfortunately, in December of 2007, the recession began. And that, in conjunction with, in 2010, a income tax cut, resulted in public education not being funded anywhere near to the 55% level. In fact, currently, I believe we're down somewhere around 47%. That's this year. As if to add insult to injury, in 2013, the state shifted teacher retirement to the local districts. That had been a state obligation for about 70 years, and now suddenly the state is transferring that obligation to local school districts, and while at the same time it's reducing aid to education. The conclusion, I think, to be drawn from this is that particularly in districts like SAD 49 that are not wealthy property-wise, we are being forced to pick up the cost of public education when in reality, by state law, the state has that obligation. We're starting to have a very difficult time keeping up with other school districts because we do not have the property tax base in SAD 49. I think this kind of illustrates that the state is falling far short. Now, Commissioner Desjardins back in the spring in his unpublished editorial remarked that the state was putting $962 million into public education. I think the reality of that is the state is putting its money in charter schools, and they are probably also charging off the cost of the retirement system as their support to public education. I became very suspicious. Why I started tracking this was that the state, these are all state figures. They publish what goes to each school locally. In 2009, 2010, every year they had listed all the schools and the aid that the state provided, and all of a sudden, up till that time, they had been adding up the columns so you could tell very easily how much the state was spending on public K-12 education. 2010, they stopped doing that, and it's a PDF file if you go look it up, and there is no way that you can convert that to a spreadsheet. So it takes about 4 hours to add it up and come up with the final figure. I did have help from another board member on this, which I appreciate, but bottom line, we got beat up last spring over the cost of public education and what we were being asked to bear. And I think if you study these graphs and these figures, the fault is not with the SAD 49 board, it is rather West and Augusta. I will have more information at future meetings.
Thank you very much, Tim. We got discussion on the expansion of the parking lot at elementary school.
Yeah, I have a bit for you tonight. We'll have more at the next meeting. I asked our operations manager, Ms. Brackett, to take a look at the parking lot situation, particularly as it's problematic at the beginning and end of the day when parents are visiting, and to check out the cost of a substantial lot on the back side of the building near where the hot lunch entry. You're looking at the building, it would be to the far left. There are some real issues associated with that site, including ledge and drainage. And as of late this afternoon, we only had one bid, which is quite expensive. But rather than speculate on what they will all be, we can bring that up at the next meeting. I would note, though, that we could create some temporary parking to alleviate a situation with a gravel surface that would not be sufficient for a parking lot, a regular parking lot. But we could do that probably this year with the understanding that it would be for times like the middle of the winter when the existing expansion the parking lot, you recall the floods have been kind enough to allow us to put an extension on their property It will allow for snow buildup, and the creek that does in from the parking lot out, would give us another space so we can still handle staff parking during the day. None of that would address the longer-term issue of the number of parents that come into the school at the end of the day and the congestion that's created by that. So I would suggest that the facilities committee certainly can look at some diagrams and photographs next week, when I would plan to have that on the agenda, and then the full board can look into it if you want it at the next meeting or a subsequent meeting. Okay.
Any other business?
I would like to just put up one thank you to Mrs. Murray for doing an excellent job with another state mandate, which is the educator evaluation. I think they call it educator effectiveness system. It's a new scheme for evaluating people. And it is full of state requirements and predictable convolutions and confusions that come from state-created programs. And Mrs. Murray is helping to keep those of us on the committee sane and on task. And I would thank her for some, in my opinion, very tedious, boring, and miserable work that's still necessary, and all of us are getting along better because of it. So thank you, Mrs. Murray.
Mr. Chairman?
I had one thing before. I want to thank everybody for coming early and touring the school and getting a better feel for all the schools, and remind everybody that next meeting is Fairfield Primary School, and we'll be having the same opportunity to do that at 6:30. And thank everybody for bearing with me as I try to make my way through being the chair.
You did.
So, I guess that includes everything I had for tonight.
We have no complaints with your chairmanship, Neil, you do just fine. I did want to dovetail on what Dean was saying. If anybody thinks we don't need an assistant superintendent, they should attend one of these committee meetings that we met at 8 o'clock on the 24th, and we have another meeting scheduled for the 16th, which includes a number of administrators, the superintendent, a number of teachers. Nora is steering us through one of what I think is one of the most confusing morasses there are that the school has to get its way through. The one unfortunate aspect, and we talk about state unfunded mandates, my perception, my take is that this teacher evaluation pupil growth model that we are working on, which is mandated, actually federally, it's an outgrowth of the No Child Left Behind law, which was such a rousing success, and that 2014, all children suddenly knew everything that they needed to know.
We're done here, right?
But I think it is inevitable with the demands of this plan that we are going to end up hiring additional administrators just to meet the obligations of the plan. So, but I do appreciate what Nora and the other administrators and teachers are doing. It's talk about getting into quicksand.
Mr. Chairman, I have one more thing. Recently, some of the staff of the district went on a jail tour, and I have to tell you that Ms. Merson looked wonderful in the prisoner van. That's all I have.
Mr. Chairman, if there's no more business before this board, I move we adjourn.
Hey.